How to persuade effectively in 2 simple steps. Persuasion boils down to just 2 key actions. First, you must identify the buying state, the mindset in which someone is most receptive to your offer. Second, you need to anchor that state to your product or service. However, this process isn't about rushing or forcing a sale. The goal is to recognize when someone is in the right state of mind and consistently trigger that response. When done correctly, this method can significantly improve persuasion outcomes, whether it's encouraging someone to attend a seminar or take action on an offer. Many traditional sales techniques focus on scripted lines and rigid strategies, but real persuasion isn't about saying the right words. It's about understanding and guiding someone's emotional state. Step 1. Build rapport. The foundation of persuasion is rapport. Without it, any attempt to influence falls flat. Think about it. If you approach someone with an aggressive pitch, they'll likely resist or ignore you. Instead, your goal should be to create a sense of connection. How do you establish rapport? By mirroring and matching, adapting your tone, breathing patterns, gestures, and even eye movements to align with the person you're engaging with. The key is making them think, "Me too," rather than "so what?" For example, if you share a deeply personal experience before understanding their perspective, they might dismiss it entirely. Instead, focus on their needs and experiences first. When they see you as someone who understands them, they become far more receptive. Step 2, speak their language. A common mistake in persuasion is assuming that your level of enthusiasm will automatically translate to the other person. Imagine someone passionately describing a life-changing experience, saying, "It was like riding the biggest wave in Maui." If the person they're talking to isn't into surfing, their reaction will likely be, "So what?" Instead of projecting your own experiences, ask questions to uncover their desires. For instance, simply asking, "If you could have anything in your life right now, what would it be?" opens the door for meaningful engagement. If they're unsure, follow up with, "If you had to choose something, what would it be?" By stepping into their world and aligning with their emotional state, you create genuine persuasion, one that feels natural, not forced. The importance of emotional alignment. Most persuasion efforts fail because they lack emotional synchronization. If you approach someone with excitement while they're in a calm or skeptical state, your energy will feel overwhelming or even off-putting. They won't reject your message because of the content, but because they don't feel connected to it. Think about a salesperson who is overly enthusiastic, saying, "This is the best thing ever, you have to try it." Meanwhile, the listener is in a reserved, analytical mindset. The result? A disconnect. The person being persuaded doesn't resonate with the approach and responds with hesitation or dismissal. Instead, the goal is to meet people where they are emotionally. If someone is reflective, match that tone. If they are energetic, engage at their level. When you establish this balance, persuasion becomes effortless, triggering the right state once rapport is built. The next step is guiding them into a receptive, emotional state. This isn't about manipulation. It's about helping them access feelings that naturally align with the decision you want them to make. A simple way to do this is by asking, "If you could experience anything right now that would improve your life, what would it be?" If they hesitate, follow up with, "If you had to choose one thing, what comes to mind first?" These questions direct their thoughts toward an ideal state, one where they naturally see value in what you're offering. When they start visualizing a positive outcome, you subtly anchor that feeling to your product, service, or idea. The key is making them see it as the logical next step, rather than a forced decision. Closing the loop. At this stage, persuasion feels seamless. The person isn't agreeing out of pressure. They're responding because your message aligns with their emotions and desires. What most people overlook is that persuasion isn't about overpowering someone's thinking. It's about aligning with it. Once you create that connection, decisions happen organically. The final step? Reinforce their decision by validating their emotions. A simple, "That makes total sense," or "I get why that's important to you," reassures them that they're making the right choice. When done correctly, persuasion stops feeling like a sales pitch and starts feeling like a natural conversation, one where both sides benefit. People often open up to you when you establish a strong connection with them. They share things they wouldn't tell just anyone. The other day I had the chance to sit in Jerry West's office, one of my personal heroes in basketball, arguably the greatest guard to ever play. I spent 2 hours with him along with Rick Riordan. We kept exchanging amused glances because Jerry kept saying, "I've never shared this with anyone before." Yet he continued to tell us more. Why does that happen? Because we had rapport, complete trust, and connection. Now imagine you're having a conversation and someone tells you, "I just wish my self-image would change." In that moment, they've revealed something important, their needs. Once you understand what someone truly wants, you have enough insight to make a difference. Consider the principles of personal development: anchoring, rapport building, clarity on goals, transforming resistance into support, and love strategies. With these tools, you can address nearly anything a person desires. All you have to do is identify their needs and then guide them toward envisioning an ideal outcome. Ask them, what would it be like if this relationship or this aspect of your life worked perfectly? Their response will often be something like, "It would be incredible." If you're face to face, you don't need exaggerated gestures. Just a simple, well-placed touch or a knowing glance can reinforce that emotional connection. Some people overdo their anchoring techniques, thinking they need dramatic movements. But effective anchoring is subtle. It's about replicating the right cues naturally, whether it's through touch, tone, or even shared laughter. When you engage with someone on this level, you uncover what they truly need. They might not articulate it at first, but with the right questions, they will. Ask, if you could change anything in your life right now, what would it be? If they say, "I like things the way they are," follow up with, "If you could make anything just a little better, what would it be?" This encourages them to reflect. Many will eventually say something like, "I'd like to earn more money." Then you can explore what's preventing that from happening. Maybe they need stronger persuasion skills or better rapport with their boss. In that moment, you've identified a specific need. Now, imagine they had the opportunity to learn from a true expert, someone who could teach them the exact skills they need to achieve that change. If they could walk away with both knowledge and support to apply it, would it be worth their time? Absolutely. Would it be worth taking some time to develop that skill? Most people would say yes. Once they recognize the value, they become more open to the process. Now, if they say, "I'd like to earn more money," you can ask, "What's stopping you?" Their response might be, "I don't know, maybe if I could improve my persuasion skills, or if I had a better relationship with my boss." At that moment, you've pinpointed a clear need. Then you follow up. If you had the chance to learn from someone who has mastered that skill, someone who could show you exactly what to do, would you take it? Most will acknowledge the opportunity. When people see a direct path to their goal, they're far more likely to take action. And that's the key. It's not about forcing change on someone. It's about helping them uncover what they truly want. Once they do, and they realize there's a way to achieve it, they naturally become motivated. So whether it's personal growth, financial success, or building stronger relationships, the process remains the same. Establish a connection, identify their needs, and guide them toward the possibilities. When they see the value, they'll be ready to take the next step. The art of persuasion, building commitment and rapport. When considering whether an opportunity is worth the effort and investment, ask yourself, would securing this outcome for the rest of your life justify the energy and capital required? If the answer is yes, then the key lies in helping others make a firm decision, but more importantly, a commitment. People naturally tend to procrastinate. It's a common human tendency to delay action, but true persuasion involves guiding individuals toward commitment. Some people hesitate when trying to secure that commitment. If you suddenly shift your tone or body language, asking vaguely, "So, would this be worth it?" your ability to influence diminishes. Maintaining rapport throughout the process. One of the biggest mistakes in persuasion is losing rapport at the critical moment. Someone might maintain a strong connection with a prospect throughout the conversation, but then when it's time to close, they hesitate. So I have this seminar. would you maybe want to go? That kind of uncertainty breaks the flow. Instead, confidence and congruency are key. You need to attend this event. It will provide the answers you're looking for, and it's absolutely worth it. Here, fill this out. Objections will arise, such as financial concerns, but your response should be direct and firm. I understand the cost factor. Put it on a credit card. Whatever it takes, you need to do this. If they push back, simply return to the core question. Do you want to continue facing this challenge in your life? No. Do you want to change it? Yes. Then take action, sign up now. Congruency and conviction in your message make all the difference. When you fully believe in the value of what you're offering and address their needs directly, commitment follows. The role of logic and reason in persuasion, while rapport and emotional connection make up most of the persuasion process, logic and reason still play a role. Imagine persuasion as a football field. 40 yards are spent building rapport, understanding their needs, demonstrating empathy, and showing that you relate to them. The next 10 yards involve logic and reasoning, providing key details that reinforce the value of what you're offering. If someone perceives you as similar to them, they're more likely to trust your judgment. If you say something is worth it, they'll believe you because they see you as someone who understands their perspective. However, if you seem disconnected from their world, they might assume your recommendation applies to you, but not necessarily to them. The power of assumptive closing. When you identify someone's need and provide the right solution, do you have the right to assume the sale? Absolutely. In fact, failing to do so demonstrates a lack of confidence, not just in yourself, but in the value of what you're offering. If you hesitate, you risk taking away value rather than adding it. The goal is to help people recognize what they need to improve in their lives and then immediately present a clear solution. The best way to use logic at this stage is through direct instruction. Write this down, grab a pen. If you have strong rapport, people will follow your lead. Without it, your words carry little weight. Rapport is the foundation of effective persuasion. By staying confident, maintaining connection, and addressing needs directly, you can help others commit to meaningful change. And that is the essence of true persuasion. Another essential aspect of persuasion is ensuring that people fully grasp the opportunity in front of them. Once rapport is established and logic has been introduced, the next step is guiding them toward action. This is where certainty plays a crucial role. If you tell someone, this is an incredible opportunity, but only if you feel like it, you introduce doubt. Instead, your communication must reflect unwavering confidence. This will make a difference in your life. Take this step now. It's not about forcing decisions, it's about leading with conviction. When someone hesitates, it's not because they don't see the value, it's because they fear making the wrong choice. Your role is to remove that uncertainty by reinforcing their own needs and desires. Mastering the close with confidence, clarity, and assurance are what turn interest into commitment. At this stage, the conversation should not shift into negotiation. It should remain a natural progression of what has already been established. The moment you falter, uncertainty creeps in. That's why the strongest closers don't ask for decisions, they guide people to them. You've identified the problem, you know the solution, now let's make it happen. Why assumption leads to action. Asking, do you want to go, gives people the chance to hesitate. Instead, assume the answer. Here's the time and place. Mark it down. This technique works because it eliminates doubt. When someone has been walked through their needs, recognized the value of the solution, and connected with the person offering it, their natural response is to follow through. Any hesitation at this point comes from fear of commitment, not from a lack of interest. By leading assertively, you show respect for their goals. If you truly believe this decision will benefit them, you have an obligation to help them cross that final threshold. The final push, taking immediate action. Once the commitment is in place, action must be immediate. Delays create second guessing, and second guessing leads to inaction. When you say, let's do this now, you keep momentum alive. The sooner they take action, the sooner they see results, reinforcing their decision. Rapport, logic, and confidence, when combined, remove barriers and make decisions effortless. That is the power of persuasion. The power of persuasion, overcoming objections and influencing decisions. When you ask someone to write something down, like a date, March 22nd, for example, you're already engaging them in the commitment process. Simply noting the location and date starts an unconscious agreement to attend. You provide the logic and reasoning first, then move into the next phase, attack and confess. This is a key element in persuasion. To effectively influence others, you must address and acknowledge objections. In any decision-making process, people typically have three primary objections. Lack of time. More often than not, people claim they're too busy rather than admitting they lack financial resources. Lack of money. The real issue isn't always about affordability, it's about perceived value. If they don't see it as worth their investment, they won't commit. Lack of belief. If someone doesn't believe an opportunity is worthwhile, they won't engage. To shift their mindset, you must tap into their decision-making strategy, the mental process that leads to action. This means placing them in the emotional state they need to be in to perceive value. For example, if someone doubts the worth of an event, ask, if you truly believe this experience would be transformative, worth every minute, every penny, and would return tenfold, would you go? At this point, their mind begins processing the possibility of change. They're forced to visualize the event as valuable. This works similarly to the phrase, don't spill the milk. In order to avoid spilling it, the brain first imagines the act of spilling. By using embedded commands, you subtly guide their thought process. When you say, what if, all of a sudden you changed your mind and saw this as valuable. You're not just posing a question, you're planting the idea of immediate transformation. To solidify this, frame the scenario further. Imagine attending this event, and as a result, your relationships improve dramatically. Would it be worth it then? Most will respond yes, and at that moment, they are primed for action. That's when you move them to commitment. However, timing is everything. If someone is in the wrong emotional state, persuasion will fail. Imagine going to a restaurant where the server rudely tosses down a menu and asks, "What do you want?" Would that be the right moment to complain about bad service? Not at all. That reaction wouldn't achieve your goal. Instead, as an effective communicator, you recognize that their state of mind affects the interaction. You take responsibility for guiding the situation toward a better outcome. This applies in professional settings too. A colleague once told me I had snapped at them in frustration. I acknowledged it and apologized, but I also explained that if I'm in an intense state of focus, that's not the time to approach me with routine questions. Understanding state management is key. Influence happens when people are in the right mindset, and it's your job to help them get there. So when persuading someone, the timing of your approach is crucial. If they are in a resistant state, your message won't land effectively. Instead, you must first shift their emotional state before delivering your argument. For instance, rather than confronting a disengaged or frustrated individual head-on, subtly guide the conversation toward a positive frame of mind. This could mean engaging them in a way that naturally elevates their mood or perspective before introducing your key points. People don't make decisions based on logic alone. Emotion plays a major role. When someone claims they lack time or money, what they're often expressing is hesitation. Your role is to help them see beyond those initial objections by aligning their emotions with the outcome they truly desire. A great example of this is when someone hesitates to invest in an opportunity. Instead of arguing against their reluctance, ask, if you knew for certain that this decision would bring incredible benefits, would you reconsider? By posing this question, they are compelled to visualize the positive impact of their choice. In that moment, they begin reevaluating their stance, moving closer to commitment. However, just as a negative emotional state can hinder progress, an engaged and receptive state accelerates decision-making. This is why timing and delivery matter as much as the message itself. Take any interaction, whether personal or professional, and observe how state influences response. If someone is excited, inspired, or energized, they are significantly more open to persuasion. On the other hand, if they're defensive or skeptical, logic alone won't break through. The key is to create an environment where they naturally reach the conclusion you want them to arrive at. Do this successfully, and persuasion no longer feels like an uphill battle. It becomes a seamless, almost automatic process. This is what separates ordinary communicators from true influencers. Those who master this skill don't just present ideas. That's not the right moment, is it? You simply observe my physiology or use a phrase to shift my state. For instance, you might say, Robbins, I really like this aspect, or I think this is great. Or perhaps you remind me of a specific moment. By doing so, you've altered my state and consequently my physiology. This allows you to communicate effectively, ensuring I respond positively rather than negative. The same principle applies in various situations. Take a restaurant setting, for example. If you want exceptional service from a waitress, adjust her state, change her physiology, and you'll see a difference. Now, how do you shift someone's state? What are your options? First, you can use a pattern interrupt, something unexpected to disrupt their current mindset. Another approach is metaphor, helping them see things differently. You could also mirror their state and then guide them out of it. Or you could modify their physiology through an action or statement. Asking thought-provoking questions forces them to process information differently. Instead of reacting like most people do, you might say, wow, you must be working incredibly hard tonight. Take your time with us. Would that change their state? Absolutely. It shifts their internal feelings, leading to a new set of behaviors. The key to sales? Get them into a state where they've made a purchase before. Once they're in that mindset, anchor it or introduce your product while reinforcing their past positive experiences. For instance, remember that thing you absolutely loved? This is just like that. However, if you simply say, I love this, you should too, will that work? No. It needs to be something they genuinely desire. Recall a time when you made a decision and knew it was absolutely right. Can you think of a specific instance? No, not just any moment, a time when you truly felt great about your choice. Now, what if you felt that way about this decision right now? What's happening? You're making connections. You're guiding them toward that feeling of certainty. Your authenticity and understanding are crucial here. A no doesn't necessarily mean rejection. It often means they need more information or haven't been placed in the right state yet. A no comes from a different state than a yes, right? The goal is to guide them toward a yes state, an internal feeling where they naturally want to agree. Once they're there, ask them to take action and they'll be far more likely to respond positively. Now let's talk about attack and confess. You already know the two most common objections, money and time. Instead of waiting for these objections to arise, address them up front. You might say, before we go any further, let me share something with you. I'm not sure if you've experienced this before, but I certainly have. I come across something truly valuable, something that can make a real difference. Just like you mentioned, you want to improve your relationships, right? At that point, you're securing their commitment. You're reinforcing what they've already expressed, their desire to enhance their relationships. Then you acknowledge reality. Not everyone is as committed as you. Some people, even after I lay out everything that could improve their relationships, still say, I don't have time. Can you believe that? Something that could transform their most important relationships, and they say they can't make time for it. At this moment, they're likely to agree with you, and by doing so, they're aligning with the idea that prioritizing personal growth is essential. Now, could they later turn around and say, I don't have time for this? Technically, yes. But will they? Unlikely, because they'd have to contradict what they just affirmed. At this point, you framed the conversation in a way that aligns their beliefs with your message. Now they're much less likely to contradict themselves. Next, you reinforce the commitment. Think about it. Your relationship is one of the most valuable aspects of your life. Yet some people claim they don't have time for something that could completely transform it. Can you imagine that? By presenting it this way, you've created a scenario where they naturally agree with you. Now, if they were to later object with, I don't have time, they'd have to go against everything they just acknowledged. What's the takeaway? Anticipate objections before they arise. When you address them up front, you neutralize their impact. Now, instead of having to overcome resistance later, you've already removed the barrier. This is why state management is crucial. When someone is in a no state, it has nothing to do with logic, it's about emotion. Shift their internal experience and their responses will change accordingly. Now consider this in the context of persuasion. Your goal isn't to force a yes, but to create the conditions where saying yes feels natural. If they've experienced a time when making a decision felt absolutely right, guide them back to that moment. Make them relive it. Remember how it felt when you made a decision and knew without a doubt that it was the right one. What if you could feel that way about this choice right now? By doing this, you're bridging the gap between uncertainty and certainty. They begin associating this decision with the same confidence they had in past positive choices. And when you accomplish that, everything shifts. Now, they aren't just considering the offer, you've placed them in a state where taking action feels natural. This is the foundation of real influence. Not coercion, not pressure, just a deep understanding of how people make decisions and how to guide them toward the right one. When it comes to our self-esteem, we tend to find all sorts of reasons to hold ourselves back. One of the most common objections I hear is, I don't have enough money. But you and I both know that when something truly matters, we find a way. We borrow, negotiate, shift priorities, whatever it takes. I've done it. You've probably done it too, haven't you? The same applies to personal growth. Some people claim they can't afford to fix their relationships or improve their lives. But deep down, we know that if it were a priority, they would make it work. Now let's take that mindset and apply it to those around us. If someone says they don't have enough time or money to attend a seminar, we need to help them push past those fears. Mary, I know this event is important to you, and I'm sure you'd love to share the experience with your friends. Let's find a way to help them overcome their doubts. Can you do that? By engaging her in this way, I've not only secured her commitment, but I've also turned her into an advocate. Now she's helping me bring others along. It's like getting a train on the tracks. One small yes after another builds momentum. Once that train is speeding in one direction, it's unlikely to suddenly reverse course. The key is consistency, continuously securing commitments from the start. You do this by entering their world, building genuine rapport and understanding their needs. People love to talk about themselves, and if you sincerely care, which I believe you do, that connection becomes effortless. Once you've established trust, the next step is reinforcing their commitment. Ask the right questions. You're committed to this, right? Wait for their answer. Don't just assume, make sure they verbalize it. From there, it's all about sustaining engagement. Keep reinforcing the value of what you're offering, bringing enthusiasm and authenticity to every interaction. If you believe in what you're saying, they will too. Ultimately, it comes down to assuming the sale. Enthusiasm, derived from the Greek word entheos, meaning godlike energy, is contagious. People are drawn to confidence and conviction. When you combine rapport, logic, and passion, you create an irresistible message. Now, let's talk about motivation. Throughout history, people have been influenced by two powerful forces, fear and desire. The unfortunate truth is that many people are more motivated to avoid pain than to seek pleasure. That's why so many sales strategies are based on fear. Fear of loss, fear of missing out. Look at retail marketing. It thrives on scarcity and urgency. But the final and most important step is offering a solution. It's not just about showing them what they stand to lose. It's about painting a picture of what they could gain. Help them envision the transformation. Show them the success, fulfillment, and happiness that await on the other side. When you master this balance, addressing fears while presenting a compelling solution, you become truly persuasive. That's how you create lasting change. The solution phase is where everything comes together. This is where you shift the focus from what they fear losing to what they stand to gain. You've already built momentum, established trust, and secured commitments along the way. Now it's time to paint a vivid picture of what success looks like. Think of it as showing them the door to a better future. You're not just offering a seminar, a course, or an opportunity. You're giving them access to a transformation. You're showing them what's possible if they take action. And here's the key. People need to see themselves in that future. They need to feel what it's like to experience the benefits. That's why great communicators don't just explain, they make people visualize. They help them imagine the relief, the success, the confidence they'll gain. This isn't about pressure, it's about alignment. When someone truly believes that a solution fits their needs, resistance fades away. That's why the process up until now has been so important. Every yes they've given, every agreement they've made has built a foundation of certainty. Now, as you present the final step, there's no hesitation. They're already on the path. You're simply guiding them across the finish line. Because at the end of the day, change doesn't happen through hesitation. It happens through decisive action. And the people who move forward are the ones who embrace the opportunity when it's in front of them. So as you lead someone through this process, remember, establish rapport, enter their world and connect. Identify their needs, understand what truly matters to them, secure commitments, gain small agreements that build momentum. Maintain enthusiasm, bring energy, confidence, and conviction. Present the solution, make the outcome so clear and compelling that taking action becomes the natural choice. Master this and you won't just influence people, you'll inspire them. Effective persuasion, the art of influence. Let's talk about the right way to approach persuasion. When making a point, it's crucial to focus on the principle, not the person. Some people don't realize this, but a more effective approach is to acknowledge your own experience. For instance, you might say, I had the opportunity to do this 6 months ago, but I didn't take it until 2 months back. Looking back, I can't believe how much time I lost. That's why I'm sharing this with you, because I don't want others to miss out like I did. I know you're going to take action now because I won't let you make the same mistake I did. See how powerful that is? It makes the listener think differently. Now let's consider the bigger picture. When you apply this, your relationships will improve. Imagine coming home and your spouse feels an immediate sense of joy just hearing your voice. Can you picture what that would be like? Every time they see you, it sparks the same emotions you both felt when you first met. That's the kind of deep emotional connection you can create when you master this skill. Closing, bringing it all together. Closing isn't just about finalizing a decision, it's about bringing everything together. Think of it like assembling a puzzle, ensuring every piece fits perfectly. You might say, so let's get this set up now. Who else do you think would benefit from this? If they start naming people, they're already mentally committing to the decision. That's a key aspect of persuasion. Getting someone into a state where they naturally say yes. The easiest way to do that is by reminding them of a past experience when they truly wanted something and connecting that emotion to your offer. That's the essence of persuasion. When you clearly define what someone wants and continuously tie it back to your solution, it becomes nearly irresistible. The key is persistence, never accepting an initial no. In fact, top salespeople don't close deals on the first or even the second try. Research shows that the most successful persuaders close deals after hearing no 5 times. But here's the thing, they're not being pushy. They maintain rapport, reframe objections, and redirect the conversation until they find the right approach. That's real persuasion. The power of reframing persuasion isn't just about making a sale. It applies to every area of life. It affects how you influence your children, how you communicate with your boss, and how you lead as a manager. Even on a global scale, persuasion plays a role. Think about John F. Kennedy negotiating with Khrushchev during the Cuban Missile Crisis. When Khrushchev initially refused, did Kennedy just accept it and walk away? Of course not. He maintained a consistent and unwavering approach until he shifted Khrushchev's perspective. That's what persuasion is all about, understanding the emotional and psychological state of the person you're influencing and consistently guiding them toward the right decision. Master this, and you'll not only improve your ability to persuade, but also transform the way you connect with others. The key to persuasion: reframing and persistence. To be truly persuasive, you must recognize that an initial objection is rarely final. When someone says no, it often means they haven't reached the right state of understanding yet. It could be that they need more clarity or that their decision-making process hasn't been fully engaged. This is why top influencers don't give up after the first rejection. Studies show that the most effective salespeople secure agreements after the 5th refusal. They don't achieve this by pressuring or forcing a response. They build trust, adjust their approach, and guide the conversation in a way that naturally leads to agreement. The secret lies in maintaining rapport. Instead of confronting objections, they reframe them. If a potential customer hesitates, an experienced persuader doesn't take it as a hard stop. They reposition the conversation, offering a fresh perspective that aligns with the person's core needs and desires. A lesson from history: persuasion isn't just about business. It's a fundamental part of leadership and negotiation. Consider how world leaders navigate high-stakes discussions. When President Kennedy dealt with Khrushchev, he didn't take an initial refusal as a dead end. He understood that persistence, paired with strategic communication, could shift perspectives. Kennedy didn't seek a simple yes or no. He worked to reshape Khrushchev's understanding until the situation evolved. This method applies beyond politics. It's a principle that can be used in everyday life, whether guiding a team, influencing a decision, or strengthening personal relationships. Applying this to everyday life, mastering persuasion extends far beyond selling a product or closing a deal. It's about leading people toward positive change, whether in business, family, or personal growth. When communicating with your children, your employer, or even yourself, the ability to guide thoughts and emotions effectively determines outcomes. Strong persuaders recognize that true influence comes from persistence, adaptability, and a deep understanding of human motivation. When applied correctly, these techniques don't just lead to agreement, they create lasting impact.